Hi, I'm here today to talk to you about agriculture in the United States and it being a sustainable industry. The question was, is it a sustainable industry? Yes, I believe it needs to be. I believe it is a sustainable industry, and I don't believe we have a choice as a nation or a world. Agriculture has to be a sustainable industry, or we can't eat, we can't clothe ourselves, we can't drink, etc. Let's first define sustainable agriculture. According to agricultureguide.org, sustainable agriculture is defined as the ability to sufficiently cater to the needs of the present society and also to be able to preserve necessary resources for the benefits of the future. So agriculture is about preserving resources, and it is about raising crops and animals and whatever is needed to benefit our society and make our society keep going. As according to USDA.gov, sustainable agriculture has risen in the last 50 years worldwide, not due to more farmland, but due to agricultural sustainability practices. In the US, there is a constant push for cheap, quality food. And all over the world, there is a push for the U.S. and other agriculturally rich countries to provide food to countries without, through farming and ranching, if you want to call it that. Some of the practices in sustainable agriculture that have came from this, according to agricultureguide.org, organic farming, pesticide-free and natural involving practices like mulching, importance in planting dates, and the use of animals in the nutrient cycle. Biological farming, which adopts a low-impact approach to pesticides, and nature farming, which specifically emphasizes soil health and composting. These are just some of the things that have been developed over the last 30 to 50 years in the U.S. to sustain agriculture as an industry. According to TheGuardian.com, the first evidence of farming was 23,000 years ago on the Sea of Galilee by a group of hunter-gatherers. So it was discovered under 4 meters of water and silt and sand, 4 huts, that there were animal remains around and corrals and evidence of farming. So people have been using agriculture to sustain their societies for many, many years. In the U.S., we have come a long way in 30 years, just the last 30 years, when it comes to sustainability with agriculture. The U.S. has really adopted a lot of practices as far as organic farming goes. It has the industrialized farms and the industrialized feed yards have developed a lot of different practices on emissions and how to use some of the manure ponds and that sort of thing to grow crops in other places, because we all know that the best vegetables grow in mulch and manure. We have a farm outside of Casper, and we raise alfalfa to feed animals. Some of the things that we do so that the soil is not depleted completely is we graze cattle on that soil in the wintertime. And it really does help feed that soil the nutrients that it needs. It's the waste from the cattle. These are practices that have been around for tens of thousands of years. And I do believe that people are really developing better habits with their farms. I have not met very many farmers that don't know a lot about the soil and the composition of their alfalfa or the composition of their corn as far as nutrients. To certify alfalfa hay to feed to animals, it has to have a certain amount of protein, it has to have a certain amount of phosphorus, a certain amount of all different things in it to be certified. And just like organic, anything that's organic has to be certified first. So I believe that people individually, and I believe that the large corporations really are working to make it a sustainable practice and industry in the United States. There were some practices that were not great 20 to 30 years ago, but I really believe that we've come a long way. One thing I'd like to talk about briefly, being a preschool teacher and having children in school and being a substitute teacher at times, there is something called Farm to Table in the schools, and the schools are developing greenhouses, and the USDA has changed some of their regulations on what children can eat. It's not just stuff that comes from the grocery store now, and it's not just stuff that is grown on commercial farms. The farm to table movement is to use local farms and to use greenhouses built by the school. They can bring that stuff in and they can feed the children that in the schools. It's a great program. It's just one more way that people are trying to sustain farming and sustain agriculture in the United States. I could go on for hours about it, I feel. And I am a little bit biased at times because we're farmers. I grow a garden every year. I compost throughout the winter. I save everything from my old vegetables to my coffee grounds for my garden. I don't put anything in it that's pesticide based at all. My in-laws do not put anything on their alfalfa that has any pesticide in it at all. So I really do believe that farmers try individually, and I do believe corporations are trying through regulation and through best practices to make farming a sustainable industry in the United States. Again, I don't believe we have a choice. I think we all can work towards this as individuals and really do your research before you ask about whether it is a sustainable industry or not. I did some research and I came up with a lot of different things that I could talk about for a long time. But farming in the United States is a sustainable industry, and it must be and stay a sustainable industry in order for us as a society to live the way we are. Thank you.